Hello, everybody. Welcome to Parinama Yoga Online, and welcome to Ayur-Nutrition, which is my consultation programs for Ayurveda. In this very short video, we're going to discuss using a neti pot and also applying Nasya oil to the mucous membranes of your nose and your sinus passages. Using the neti pot and doing Nasya can be done in combination or separately. And in your Ayurveda plan, if you have an Ayurveda plan with me, you'll learn whether to do one or both, because sometimes it may contraindicate your treatment plan. So you shouldn't just do these treatments simply because you hear about them in a video from me or somebody else, you read it in a book. It should be something that is prescribed for you. And most people I do prescribe using the neti pot and Nasya oil both. The only major contraindication for using a neti pot is if you have a very dry nasal mucous membranes, if you're constantly having a bloody nose because your nose is too dry, or you have a season, it might not be all the time, but maybe there's a certain season of the year where you just feel like you're totally dry in the sinuses in your nose and that kind of a feeling. In that case, you should not do the neti pot because within the neti pot is warm water and earth or sea salt within that water. And salt is something that tends to dry tissues. And that's usually why we use a neti pot, is because we have too much mucus in the nasal passages and the sinuses, or perhaps we want to flush out different things like pollen if we're experiencing a very difficult allergy season. Pardon me, my mind just went somewhere. Usually does, just so you know. But also, if we have a sinus infection or we're having recurring colds, recurring flu, and that includes congestion in the sinuses and in the throat, then also neti is used then too to flush out any toxins, including microbes, etc. So again, we're going to talk about neti pot quickly right now and how to do it. And again, it's used for people with allergies during cold season, flu season. It's also very good for removing particles and chemicals in the air. Air pollution is rampant throughout our world, unfortunately, and that does affect our health. So by doing neti, either in the morning or at night, you're also flushing out the different pollutants from the air, which definitely can affect our health. Another thing is that it may not seem connected, but a lot of people with indigestion or digestive problems or mucus in the digestive tract, and neti is one of the most important things to do to improve your digestion. And you might not make that connection between nose and belly. But if you have mucus in your throat, then that mucus is called amma. There are many different forms of amma, but amma are the building blocks for unwellness and for different problems in the body and the mind, and also ultimately for solidified disease. So mucus is one form of waste in the body that builds up and causes problems. So if mucus is constantly built up in your body, and that's one of the things I have to deal with in my own personal Ayurveda plan, I have a lot of mucus buildup in the sinuses and in the throat throughout the whole year, not just in one season. Whenever my kapha becomes distorted. So if you're not treating mucus in the nose, sinuses, and throat, when you breathe and when you swallow, you tend to swallow some of that mucus. It just drains down. And then that begins to clog up the intestinal tract, the esophagus, etc., slows down digestion. So using the neti pot is something you want to do if you have digestive issues. So good. So let me show you a picture of a few things here. Let me show you the neti pot, what it looks like if you're not familiar with it. It's actually very enjoyable practice. The first time you do it, it might be weird, but after you do it a few times, especially if you suffer from allergy or buildup of mucus, you're gonna love your life if you take care of yourself. So here's a picture of a neti pot. There are many kinds of neti pots that you can buy online. I've included a link in your Ayurveda plan, which is just a suggestion. You can get any kind you want. I do not suggest metal neti pots or plastic neti pots for many reasons, and I'm not going to get into it to keep it short. The most sanitary, safe form of neti pot, in my opinion, is to buy a ceramic neti pot. Also, some neti pots are designed with like a insertion that looks like a smaller funnel on the top with the wide part of the funnel facing down into the tube. If you can find one like that, it's nice because it helps to seal the spout into your nostrils, which is what you're going to do. What you'll want to do is to boil some water on the stove, some pure water, and then let it cool down so it's just warm. When you boil water, that also gets rid of any kind of impurities in the water, bacteria, etc. And you just want to boil that water to make it as pure as possible and then wait until it is very, very warm. In other words, you should be able to touch it without any sensation of discomfort, yet still see that it's warm. Think about the kind of warm water you'd want to wash a newborn baby's skin with. It should be very mild. You don't want to burn your mucous membranes. So make sure it's warm water, but that it's not even remotely hot. It also should not be cold water, as that shocks the system. So boil your water, let it cool down until it's warm to the level where you can massage a baby's skin with it without hurting the tender skin of a baby. And then you want to specifically use natural salt. There are even medicated salts for Ayurveda. I do give a link in your Ayurveda plan for salts that may be appropriate. You do not want to use table salt. You want to use earth salt or sea salt or some kind of Ayurvedic salt that is offered online or in a shop in your area. And you take a quarter teaspoon of this earth salt or sea salt and put it into the water and stir. And then you have your sea salt water or your earth salt water ready to rock and roll. Added to this, not in the picture, you should have a nice big bowl, a big bowl that you use just for neti. And you put this bowl underneath your head. You can sit down or you can stand up when you do this, however you prefer. And I tend to do it sitting. I have the big bowl right underneath me, holding it in one hand, and I have it on a table. Usually is what happens. So right now you can't see it, but I'm sitting at my desk and I can have a big bowl of water on my desk. You could fit it into you could just be over your bathroom sink if you prefer, or you can sit at any table with the bowl here. And what you want to do is you want to pick up your neti pot and you start in either or nostril. It doesn't matter which one you start in. Some people will say start on this side, start on that side. If you've learned that, go with it, but it doesn't really matter. You're cleansing out the icky stuff in your sinuses. So what you want to do, you want to seal off your left nostril and insert the neti pot spout fully into your nose. You tilt your head to the side, right? So you're going to you're going to insert the spout into your nose, tilt your head, release the nostril that you've sealed, open up your mouth because you're going to be breathing through your mouth as you gently pour the warm salt water through one nostril. It's going to pour in one nostril and come out the second one, right? And you're going to be breathing in and out through your nose, and the water will go into your bowl or maybe into your bathroom sink, wherever you're doing this. Once you're done with that, you will seal off your right nostril and you'll like blow your nose several times. Strongly exhale through just the left nostril, pushing out any mucus, any extra water, etc. You only need to do it one time. Then you repeat on the other side. You will seal off your right nostril, pick up your neti pot, insert the spout into your nose, tilt your head towards the right shoulder, and as you begin to pour the water into your nose, you'll open up the right nose, the right nostril, and the salt water will pour through your left nostril and come out the right. Again, you keep your mouth open during this process and you're breathing in and out the nose as the warm water flushes out the sinuses. And then once you're done, you set your neti pot down, you seal off your left nostril and 2 or 3 times strongly exhale to the nose to blow out any extra water, any mucus that may be present. Again, this is very good for sinus congestion, infected sinuses, allergy season, and also just in general to get rid of the pollutants that are in the air because it all gets caught in the cilia and the hair in our nose and our mucous membranes. So we're going to clean that out. In general, I recommend for the neti pot to be done in the morning because why wait until the end of the day for your evening routine to clean your sinuses and breathe in a healthy way? But if you live in a city per se that has a high level of air pollution, then you might want to do neti at night, so you can flush out all the air pollution from your nose too. So that is how you do neti pot. After you're done blowing out 3 times, clearing out the right nostril, you can just sit upright and take 3 deep breaths in and out through both nostrils, exhaling and smiling. Smiling is important. So smile as you take these 3 deep breaths in and out to seal the practice of neti. In addition to neti, or separate from neti, if you have dry sinuses, you don't want to do the neti pot, etc. But you can do Nasya by itself. Nasya is very important for many reasons too. It moisturizes the mucous membranes after doing neti, after cleaning it. It medicates and it soothes the sinuses. This is also very good to do for headaches and migraines, to use the Nasya oil separate, just for that. There are 2 ways of doing this. You can, let me show you a picture, another picture. So what I recommend is to get sesame oil, and it's going to be pure sesame oil. I have a link for it in your Ayurveda plan, so please use that. You want to make sure you're using the right kind of sesame oil, the kind that you can eat, which may sound weird, but organic refined sesame oil is what you want to be using, as in the link that is in your Ayurveda plan. So you would use a dropper, ideally, and what you would do is you'd lie down on your back in your bed so that your chin is slightly elevated and your nostrils are slightly more up towards the ceiling. And what you'll do is you'll take a dropper of sesame oil or Nasya oil, and you'll put 5 drops of the Nasya oil or pure sesame oil into each nostril. And this may feel a little weird the first time you do it, by the way, because the Nasya oil will moisturize and nurture all the tissues in your nose and your sinuses, and you'll also feel it dripping down into the back of your throat. So you may taste the Nasya oil or taste the sesame oil, and that's okay. It's not bad. It's okay. You've already cleansed your sinuses with a neti pot, so anything that's going down there is just nurturing all the tissues in your throat and your sinuses. Needless to say, it might be a little bit weird for some people, and it can be intense for some people. So if that is too difficult, what you can possibly do, and it depends on the size of your finger in the nostrils, it sounds weird, but some people do like to do it this way. You could put a little bit of sesame oil on your pinky finger, and then insert your pinky finger with that little bit of oil up into a nostril and kind of rotate, coating what you can reach with your finger. And you do that on either side. That might be a beginner's way if putting drops in your nose is too intense right away. But ultimately, if you want to nourish the sinus tissues in the back of the throat too, you're gonna have to put the 5 drops into each nostrils eventually. And if 5 drops is too much initially, do 1 or 2 drops and work yourself up to 5 drops. Again, in Ayurveda plans, I always recommend just pure sesame oil for this. Sesame oil is tridoshic, meaning it's good for all dosha constitutions, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. If you buy Nasya oil online, you want to read the label, because it's usually sesame oil, because again, it's tridoshic and good for all people, but then usually they add an herb. So don't buy a Nasya oil with an herb in it just because it sounds good to you, because you like the smell of that herb or whatever else. You want to have, if there's a medicated essential oil within your Nasya oil, you want to check with me or an Ayurvedic professional to see if that oil is appropriate for your constitution, because different oils will inflame different doshas. So if you have a pitta problem and you're very hot, and you add a heating herb to this Nasya oil, that's going to make your pitta condition worse. It can make your anger worse, your indigestion worse, your acid reflux worse, whatever's going on with pitta that we want to heal. So again, I recommend just sesame seed oil, just sesame oil, And if you see online something that says Nasya oil with organic sesame oil and lavender, then check with me to see if lavender is good for your constitution. You don't want to put something in your body which will only inflame your current situation, right? My spiritual teacher always says to make sure you take the right medicine. If somebody has a stomach disorder and an eye disorder, and you put the stomach medicine in your eye and the eye medicine in your mouth for your stomach, then you're only going to make it worse. And it's the same thing. Every herb has very specific functions. It balances one dosha and it makes the other one grow, makes it more aggravated or more pronounced. So you want to make sure that whatever other oil might be in here other than sesame oil works for you. So again, if you find Nasya oils with different herbs in it that you think you might like, let me know what that is, what the other herb is, and I'll let you know if it works for your constitution. So this is the practice of using a neti pot and Nasya oil. I hope you enjoyed this. Please practice and let me know if you have any questions. You can email me or send me a message to the channels you know of, and I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.